What's up, dudes? Welcome back to another episode of Rhomas Men's Team. Pretty simple. We are a group of guys helping each other make progress towards each other's goals. If you're new to the channel, awesome and welcome. If you want to help support the channel and join our pro team, head over to rhomasteam.com/pro, where you can contribute to us on a donation basis. We also give you access to exclusive content, mastermind groups, etc., etc. So anyway, hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you on the team. We are live. Mr. Ray, what's up, brother?
Good morning, Wes. I'm great. How are you?
Doing, pal? Doing great, man. Just came off
I'm
of
good.
vacation.
Traveling today.
Skiing.
I'm in New York City.
Oh, are you really? What part of New York?
Lucas and I did a jiu-jitsu class yesterday, Upper East Side.
Oh, no way.
I know.
Nice, man. I think you're in the elevator now. What's the plan for today? I guess when you land, I'm not sure if there's somebody in the elevator with you. But I love New York City. My favorite part of New York is probably Hudson Yards, if you guys have a chance to go there. And Equinox Hotel. I haven't stayed there, but that's my next goal, is to stay there when I go to New York. It's right next to the Vessel. And I'm not sure if you can hear me right now, but let's also invite Lucas up here too if he wants to join. And then Dima, I just invited you as well if you want to talk about your business. Anyway, just got back from vacation. First vacation I've taken in a while, and it felt really good. It was a nice downtime to sort of like mentally recharge. And vacation is one of those things where I usually don't want to do. Just because I want to keep on working, and I'm just a creature of habit. I'm used to my routine. So I don't know if any of you guys can relate to that, but I'm always happy once I do it. I actually find that it gives me more energy coming back, if that makes sense. I can't really explain it because it sounds so obvious, but like my brain never really believes it until I actually do it. Come back on a full charge and feel great after that. Let's see, Ray, I don't think Ray dropped off. But anyway, Lucas, I just invited you up as well in case you want to join. But so for today, I think the message that I want to give to myself and the rest of the guys is when and where can we rejuvenate, and can we schedule it? Because I think the only downside of this particular vacation that we just took was it was kind of scheduled last minute. Ray, you're back.
Yeah, man. Where did you go for your vacation?
Went to this place called Big Bear in California. It's a ski resort, and it was just awesome, just absolutely awesome. Got to ski for the first time in like 17 years.
Wow.
And I used these
like
things
flying,
called snow blades. Dude, it's pretty wild. As you're watching people go down the mountain, it's almost like out of a movie. Like it's like gliding across the earth. And as obvious as that sounds, but like to see it in real life and then to actually like kind of think about it and break it down, it's like you're in like some sort of like Avatar movie. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. So for me, I'm here in New York City. We arrived Tuesday at midnight. We drove down from Toronto, and someone like unrelated to this, someone said like, you guys should go on a holiday, not art related, not interior design related, but just go on.
Oh, sorry, and he cut out again. I imagine it's going to be the case quite often if he's walking around in New York. But anyway, yeah, just seeing everyone on the ski slopes. And I just kind of thought about forgetting what your day-to-day life is, because skiing, especially if you go on hard slopes, it takes your mind away from everything else because you have to be so ultra focused on the particular activity. And I love activities like that, whether it be playing basketball or going to the gym, and I guess skiing in this particular case, taking up your entire perspective and focus, because almost like your life depends on it, like, because it's so biologically how do you say it? Oh, you there, buddy? I'm not sure if you can hear me right. Can you hear me, bud?
I can hear you just fine. Sorry, my
Okay.
my Canadian Wi-Fi
That's right, dude.
is just garbage. But while I don't know how much of that you got, but like, yeah, I haven't done any art related stuff this weekend this week, and it feels great to actually truly relax and take my mind off work.
Yeah, and that's what I was just saying to the guys was that if you can go on a vacation or take some time where your entire focus is almost distracted from your core focus from day to day. If
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah. No, I think it's more valuable for me to be here not doing art and to be here just like focusing on the art of life. Really
Yep.
savoring like each meal and just kind of really having great fun, like walking around town with Thea while Sarah does her various appointments. And but one thing I did do, which was kind of related to my core mission, was I met up with Lucas and we did
Yeah.
a 2-hour jujitsu class.
Nice.
And he absolutely fucking like mangled me for 2 hours straight. I'll share the picture on the Discord of damn, I got a parking ticket. I'll share it on the Discord of like Lucas without a hair out of place and me just looking like red as a tomato,
That's awesome. Where'd you guys do it?
A gym called Unity Jiu-Jitsu on 14th Street. This legend, absolute monster named Murillo Santana is the head honcho there. And yeah, it's just real. It's just a killer. It's like killer university. Yeah, so it was great.
Yeah, I think there's something too. I mean, that even fits in with what we were just saying. Is like going into activities and/or vacation or wherever to completely hijack your focus to that particular thing, almost because your life depends on it, or because it's so awe-inspiring. Like I would put New York City in that category as well. Like going to New York City and walking around all of the buildings, walking around the culture. Like you can't help but just be extremely focused on that particular thing, as opposed to just saying, "Oh, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to watch some TV." Where it's mildly entertaining. It's like you're only halfway able to get away from your normal day-to-day life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. And so like to truly get away from your normal day-to-day life is amazing, like, and it's, but it's also intoxicating, right? It's like Sarah and I are saying like, we should move here, or there's kind of like a permanent vacation, kind of like, desire.
Right.
This idea?
But I mean, I know obviously that's fantasy, right? That if we moved here, or if you moved to Big Bear, you would soon enough like have the same concerns and stresses, and you would have the same kind of like issues.
Right. Yeah. No, exactly.
You would have to do the same personal work.
Yeah.
There's no avoiding that.
I think where they talk about human need psychology, like all humans need a certain amount of variety. They need a certain amount of stability. They need a certain amount of feel like they are contributing to society. I think it's just one of those things. It's not that you want to move to that place. It's just that you're seeking variety. So the human brain is always going to seek a certain percentage of variety.
Right.
And I give you credit for being able to drive in New York. Not many people.
Oh, dude, it's a thrill, man. It's a thrill, and it's funny. Like it's like again, because I don't live here, because I'm a tourist, I'm not under the same kind of appointment pressure. It's a great exercise for like stoic. The practice of stoic thought, right? Like don't like focus on what you can control, for example, right?
Your number's listed as a store number, so.
Have you seen the Equinox
Okay,
Hotel by any
alright.
chance?
Thanks, bye.
Have I seen the Equinox
Hotel?
Hotel? No.
If you
Where is
have a
it?
chance. So
Or
it's in Hudson Yards. Um,
okay.
it
Yeah,
might
yeah,
be a
yeah, yeah.
great spot for you to go work out. And then, the vessel, that big.
Yeah. No, I've never really kind of like explored the Hudson Yards on foot, but I know that like the guy who owns the Miami Dolphins is the real estate tycoon for related properties, who also owns Equinox gyms. So like I can see why he has a kind of Equinox concept hotel right there in his big new development. Jeffrey
Dude, I'm
Ross
telling you.
or something like his name.
It sounds familiar, but it's amazing. Like that little microcosm right there. You and Sarah would, I assume, love the artwork there of that vessel. Have you seen it?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I know. I'm familiar with the designer, and I've seen a million pictures of it. And I know it's like the preferred suicide spot in New York now, which is kind of an honor, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But the Equinox Hotel has sauna, cold plunge, full gym,
Oh,
everything there.
oh,
Yeah. So that's where I'll be going next time I go visit New York City.
yeah. But sorry, so one thing I was trying to say before was like driving in New York is a great exercise in practicing Stoic philosophy, right? Like so I try not to get upset at and try not to rush and try not to get frustrated because I'm trying to focus things that are on things that are out of my control, right? Even today, I had to move my car to get because I could only park for free until 8 a.m. and then I had to move the car, and it's like so far I've been like blessed, like I've had like a star in the east guiding me to like available spots within minutes. But today I had to go for an hour and couldn't find anything, so I had to pay for parking. But again, it's like that's not in my control. The fact that all the other spots are taken is not in my control, right?
Right.
So therefore, according to Stoic philosophy, it shouldn't impact my emotions, right? If it's like, if everyone else out there is just trying to find a parking spot too, and they got one before me, although there was kind of like some skullduggery with like, I was waiting for one and these guys who were doing like some maintenance, or like they were doing kind of like construction on a building, they snuck around me and got a free spot. He was just blowing his vape while I went by him. But I didn't put a hex on him and his family. I just thought like, I'm glad I'm not lifting heavy pipes for a living.
Right.
And
No, but that is a kind
yeah.
of philosophy.
So it's a holiday weekend, and it's Good Friday. This is the day that our Lord was crucified and hung on the cross. And so again, I thought, well, hanging on a cross of wood, or just kind of like endlessly hunting for a parking spot, I think I'll probably take the parking spot.
Yeah, perspective, right?
Right. Or I'll stick with, would I rather be hanging on a cross of wood? I don't think so.
Well, speaking of the Stoic philosophy and not getting distracted by lesser value things just because your emotional state wants to yell at the guy blowing the vape out of his car window when he just took your parking spot. Yeah. If you had to estimate how many times per day do you feel the biological shift in emotionality? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like how many times a day do you have to fight that?
And is that the limbic system that you talk about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's constant, dude.
Right.
It's like
thousands of times a day, you think?
Yeah, it's every 30 seconds. Right? Yeah. It's like,
at least,
and especially with social media and the media in general, that is, designed to create outrage, because outrage creates clicks a lot more than gratitude creates clicks or whatever, right? Outrage gets your eyeballs, and we've all turned into these aunts and uncles on Facebook who are just ranting about Donald Trump in some way or another. Yeah, and so that's our limbic system gone mad, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a constant, never-ending drip of, oh my gosh, I can't believe this person said that. Oh my gosh, this person cut me off. Oh my gosh, my boss is calling me. What does that mean? That means I'm going to get fired. Oh my gosh, my wife is mad. Whatever that is. So,
right. And on the other hand, it's all the counterbalance is the instant gratification kind of culture that we have, right? So it's like we go from instant gratification to instant outrage, right, with nothing in between.
Wait, are we going to third act?
yeah, what are ways that you, in a healthy way, can restabilize your emotional? Have you found any tricks to do that?
Well, taking a break or like taking 10 seconds which is extremely hard to do. I mean, I think it's a practice, like everything. It's a practice, right? So we just have to practice. I mean, and I suppose we have to practice not getting stressed out about the little things so that we have the tools and the muscle memory when there's big things, right?
Yeah.
Hey dudes, sorry for the interruption here. Just wanted to let you know, if you want to join our pro team, go to romasteam.com/pro. You can help support the channel. You will also get access to exclusive content, masterminds, one-on-one sessions, etc. All right, back to the episode.
Yeah, so that our imagination doesn't take over.
I love what who said it. Let's see. Yeah, Gibbons said, "Dirty hands, clean conscience." Love that. Right, a version of that is like, stay so busy that you don't have time to get in trouble.
Right.
So consume your mind with healthy things and healthy activities, and it will automatically not leave room for the remaining.
Right.
I have found meditation to be extremely helpful. Like meditation, and then the quick one-liner in my head, and I told Matt this years ago, which was, "It's not my game." Right, because my brain just constantly wants to compete in everything, and
yeah,
and then just reminding myself, like, that's not my game, not my game. So it's like giving myself permission to not have to get emotional about that particular thing. Like,
right, or like another way of saying that is like, like a humorous way of saying that is like, do you really want to die on that hill?
Right.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, how many times, and for those of you who might not be able to relate, maybe you can after you hear this piece. How many times when somebody wants to pass us on the road, do we want to actually pass them or cut them off from passing us? You see somebody in your rear view about to like try to go around you, and you're like, I don't want them to get ahead of me. So you get into that lane and try to go faster. Or how many times
reacting,
over there?
Like whether it's escalating it, whether it's causing a fight, whatever it is, it's just like kind of like reacting, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Or how many times do you pass that guy who just took your parking spot and you want to stare him down as you drive? Exactly. So maybe saying things to ourselves like, that's not our game, or whatever version of that sense that we have, just reminding ourselves of like, we're only really meant to focus on certain things. And when was it Naval Ravikant, who was interviewed on Joe Rogan. Naval Ravikant's kind of a famous investor. And he gave me a mental model that I think was really outstanding. He said, if you want to be really successful in business, he's like, just learn to focus highly on a few things and then basically not care about anything else. It's like, focus on your marriage, focus on your business, and then who cares if the dishes are done? Who cares if the guy passes you on the road? Like, and that's the first time I've ever heard that, because I was always a subscriber of the mentality of like, how you do anything is how you do everything. And I thought that that's what it took to be successful. But he was the first person that put it in the context of, no, you should not care about everything. You should highly care about a few things and then not really care at all about the remainder.
Right. Like don't sweat the small stuff, kind of.
Yes. Yeah. And for some reason, I think it took a guy like him to say those words strung together that are like, oh, okay, I could actually consider that. Because it's one thing for somebody to say something like that who maybe I don't want to emulate. I don't necessarily think that they're great at the games that I want to play. So if I hear somebody who is outstanding at a particular game that I'm interested in and have him say that, that's when it like hit me. But yes, it's a version of don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah, it's a practice, like you said. Like it's, like you always say, everything's a practice, and you're not going to. It's like when you meditate, like you're not going to have that perfect Zen Buddhist monk meditation the first time, but
Right.
If you practice it every day for a month, you're going to get that. And because we can't really predict when an explosive situation or an emotionally volatile situation is going to occur, it behooves us to practice that in advance, right?
Right.
I'm also reminded of like, was it what you were saying? Like, the worst thing a general can say is, "I didn't expect that to happen." Were you telling me that?
No, but I like it.
Like, yeah, like a general, someone leading troops into combat. I think I was listening to Daily Stoic, and it's just like to be prepared, right? So, like, in order to be prepared for emotionally volatile situations, that's one of the reasons why we meditate every day on the scorecard for 10 minutes, right? Because when a stressful situation occurs, we have that muscle built up and strong.
Right.
And so, a general, it's best if the best outcome is if he wins. The second best outcome is if he loses. But the worst outcome is if he says, "I didn't think that would happen," or "I didn't know that would happen," right? Which demonstrates he's not prepared.
Yeah, I love it. Love that quote. And I wanted to give a shout out. Number one, Gunther, I love your comment as well. So simple, but extremely effective. He's saying that the mindfulness 10 minutes is a simple and so effective. So giving yourself a time to breathe through something and just to check out and have a little mindfulness meditation, unbelievably effective. Completely agreed. And it's one of those things where, like, when I remind myself to do it, I don't want to do it, and I almost don't believe it's going to work, and then I do it, and then it works every single time. Especially effective if you're arguing with somebody. Like, hey, let's take a 10-minute breather, come back, or 20-minute breather, come back, and every single time it gives you a more clear mind. But then also I wanted to give a shout out to Kaizen. He came on here and just crushing it. He took a new path in life, just got his plumbing truck and everything and all of his tools and everything. He's kicking butt. And dude, that guy's going to kill it in that space. Like, just the way his mind works as an engineer, like, that's the way I think of Kaizen. He's got a very analytical mind. I think he's going to crush it in this space. So Kaizen, congratulations, brother.
Yeah, that's a bold move, because you don't start at the top, right? When you're learning a trade,
Right.
Like, you're just you have to be teachable, you have to be humble, and you have to, like, I guess eat shit, I guess is the expression, but maybe for a plumber that's a little too, like, literal.
Yeah.
But
well, I think,
or maybe that's literally what you have to do.
Yeah, I feel sorry for his competitors because they probably don't realize how much skill he's bringing to the table.
That's true.
Like,
too,
this is not some guy just going and trying to get a job. This is a guy bringing a whole arsenal of weapons to this space that they have no clue about. I mean, the guy's taking sales training. He's like, all this kind of stuff. He's gonna crush in the space. So Kaizen, congratulations, brother. I'm happy you found a spot where you can really exercise all of your abilities, dude.
And that's something that we Lucas and I were talking about after jiu-jitsu yesterday. It's like so Lucas and I are in our 40s. Kaizen maybe.
Oh, Ray's internet cut out.
We've got
Sorry,
wins and losses. I'm here. Are you missing all that good stuff?
Yeah, you said you're about to say something about Kaizen.
Yeah, so like this is something I was talking about with Lucas yesterday, which is like the difference between the young men in this group and the older dogs, right? Where it's like Lucas and I, and maybe Kai's.
And he is out. Let's see if I can pull him back up. All right, Ray, if you can hear me, bud, let me know. I'm gonna invite MFG up here if he's got a second. He can take the place of Ray. What's up, Beast?
What's happening, man?
Is that the gym that are you still living in your van?
Oh yeah.
And so where do you park the van? Is it out front of the gym?
Yeah. So I have a membership at Planet Fitness. I don't actually go to Planet Fitness, but I park and shower at different ones all over the city.
That's awesome. And
Yeah,
they're cool
that
with you
way-
parking there overnight?
I don't give a fuck.
So just
It's
pulled out MFG
Wes,
up on
it's a news van. You know, it still has a wrap on it, right? Like it is officially like. I'll text you a picture. It's yeah. So nobody questions it. It works.
Dude, I give you credit, brother. So do you like kind of cycle through the same handful of gyms, or do you keep on moving somewhere?
Dude, it's a major metro area. There's enough homeless people that they're not worried about me keeping tidy in a van. So I usually stay at the same spot. Try to develop some kind of routine, you know?
And what city is it again?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay, got it. So, and then Ray, I'm sorry, you were saying something about Kaizen, but you then cut out again. So I don't know if you want to give it another shot. So I brought MFG on while he's crushing his cardio here.
Yeah, well, so while I still have a signal,
Nice.
what I was trying to say is like Lucas and I were talking about how guys like Lucas and I, maybe Kaizen and maybe MFG, like we're older members of the team. We have had ups and downs, good choices, bad choices, different kinds of careers. And so there's a kind of a sense of urgency that we have that maybe the younger guys don't, right? And it's like, and I'm not painting every younger guy on the group with this brush, or nor all the older guys. Like I still lack a sense of urgency in a lot of ways, but like is there something we can do to strengthen the accountability factor in this group to increase the power of the team kind of factor? Right? Like,
So,
do you know what I mean? Like for those who can't motivate themselves to go for that girl, to take that career step, sometimes it really works if there's the power of the team, right? For them to like make a commitment and then, have that, right? And so
absolutely.
what about for those of us who neither can motivate by ourselves, nor can really be activated by the power of the team? Is there something, are those the only two options? And we couldn't really come up with an answer.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, well, first of all, and MFG, I would love to get your perspective on this. The first thing that comes up for me when you say that is, I kind of think self-motivation is a myth. I just think it's a different derivative of being motivated in comparison or contrast to other human beings. And I know that's not popular to say. I know it's like, oh, who cares about what anybody else thinks and so on. I think it's like, I think you should care about what the right people think. So for instance, setting up your life where people have an interdependence with you, so that if you don't get the results, where your team, whether that be your men's team or your wife or your kids or your family or your friends, show some sort of dissatisfaction in your lack of production. Like if we're talking about accountability, and they also share in the rewards if you're going in the positive direction as well. That's kind of the first thing that comes up for me, is like setting up your life. Number one, telling people what you're up to, telling what the goals are. So at the very minimum, they are going to ask you about them in the future. and you're either going to be able to deliver positive news or negative news. But I think either way, it's motivating. And then you can set up even more formal accountability systems by saying, hey, right, like we're going to do this by this date and this time, and here's what's on the line for it. And there's different degrees of making that more serious. MFG, what are your thoughts, bud?
I mean, I think that at the end of the day, you know, like you were saying earlier, Ray, I mean, really, wherever you go, there you are. So if you can't motivate yourself, if you can't buy into accountability, if you can't buy into a team, well, then I don't think we need to have a new solution for you. I think you might be the problem. And you know what I mean? Like, I mean, think about all the rehab and sobriety programs out there. Why do we still have drug addiction? I mean, I think that true change has to come from within. And now in the framework around it is good to support the change, to jumpstart the change, to facilitate the change. But at the end of the day, you're the only person that can change. You know what I mean? It's so, I think sometimes to try to defer to some outside entity or some new thing or the new way is just a further procrastination of doing what the fuck you really need to do and actually making the inner change. And for me personally, I just try to do the next right thing, you know, whatever that might be. You know what I mean? And that's just, and keep following that down the line.
Do you think there's something to be said for like playing in, what do the psychologists call it, like zone of proximal development, like right where you're playing in a game and with a team of people who are in a similar zone of skill set. So for instance, if you want to go and get good at basketball, you don't just jump on the varsity basketball team, right? Because even if you got lucky and you pulled some strings and you were able to get on that team, that you'd probably be massively disappointed within the first 5 minutes because you realized you had no shot whatsoever, right? So that's actually more demotivating. So is there something to say of like sticking in the zone of proximal development, which I believe is like only 10 to 20% more than your existing skill set, so it forces you to reach, but like that you can still grab it? Is there something to be said for that?
I mean, I think it's there's certainly value in learning that way. You know, I mean, for myself, I took opportunities that I had and I leaned into them. I got really good at certain things, and I controlled what I could control within the situation, and that's allowed me to reach way beyond where I thought my abilities or where my place was as far as that type of stuff. So, I mean, I think that the more self-confidence you develop by proving things to yourself, the more that you can expand that zone of learning from maybe people that are 10 to 20% better than you to 30 and 40. And then you start to rise up along that path. And you believe it as well, you know? That's the hardest part. Because for me, everything is great, but it's all unfamiliar. So I still have that feeling where I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting for everything to fall out, you know?
Got it.
But I
think MFD, I think like what I think of when I hear you say that is like, for that person who, like, let's say they need to get a job and they can't find the motivation from within and they can't find the motivation from within a group, well, then I think, like you said, maybe getting the job is that varsity basketball team for them, and they have to kind of like go back down a notch,
right,
and learn how to dribble, right? So like,
Ray, what is this talk all the time about, like going down a notch, about like, I'm glad I don't have to carry around heavy pipes? Like, you ain't better than anybody else. Neither am I. Neither is Wes. So like this going backwards thing, it's I'm sick of it. You're just like, we got to do the work, man. It's all the same.
Hey, did I say I'm better than that son of a bitch fucking blowing a vape in my face? No, man, I carry the heavy paintings. I should have said, hey, we're not that different. We're not that different, you and I. Hey, I just don't know how to say it in fucking Spanish. That's all. So I wasn't able to say it.
Here we go.
So that's why we need.
What happened to woke liberal Ray? The eye dealer.
Dude, they took woke liberal Ray's fucking parking spot. That's what happened.
Oh no, not an inconvenience. How terrible. I live in a van that leaks when it rains, and it's raining.
I know, Mike. I know. I can't imagine, man. I can't imagine. Like,
No, but I'll tell you what. All jokes aside,
yeah,
like when you take away all the distractions, all of them. I don't have any friends down here. I'm 1,000 miles from home. You know, I had no money because I spent it all trying to save that last thing, and you really figure out what stoicism actually means.
yeah.
Like, you can actually choose to enjoy the process. Like, objectively, most of you guys are looking at the way that I live day to day, and you would think it would be your worst nightmare. Oh my God, I can't imagine if that happened. But I can be in that and still enjoy it and grow through it. You know what I mean? And choose to endure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's
Amor
about, what do
fati,
you,
right? Like, this is like
Yes.
like this is my fate, right? Like, this is right. Like, this is to love one's fate.
Yes. Absolutely.
Love it, man. Yeah, no, MFG, you inspire me because, I mean, just your ability to recalibrate according to the situation is unbelievable. And yeah, I mean, I do think it's a modern day expression of stoicism for sure, no doubt about that.
But it's also what are the other options? No one's coming to save me. What am I going to feel bad for myself? I mean, I've done all these things in the past. That's why I say there's no other options. Like, I've been a self-sabotager. I've been the guy that, like, catastrophizes everything, that freaks out to her. And those aren't effective. So at the end of it, when you finally figure out what you want to do, where you're at, where you want to go, it's like, well, shit, I guess I just got to get to work.
Right. And then you were saying in the comments earlier about you just picked up another gig, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. The artist that I'm working with, this is where he worked when he was in welding school, making like craftsman level staircases, like just unbelievable stuff. And it's just such a blessing to be able to get so good at the low end jobs I had and bring so much effort and like consistency to those, that now I can walk into a place like that just day one and be useful. You know what I mean? And like have people want to teach me. It's like alchemy. It's wild because I continue to learn and develop more and more skills and getting people to pay me to do it.
Right. Well, and I see that as almost, to Ray's point earlier, it's not necessarily, like you said, you know, I would even say lower level skills. I'd say like there's a framework of a beginning, a middle, and then an evolved position from there. So I think that you didn't skip those steps. And I think what Ray was saying earlier is like sometimes you try to skip those steps and you find yourself in a territory. It's like, I don't even know what tools these are. It's like, yeah, because you skipped the step of like knowing what tools these are, right? Start there and then build up from there. So maybe if some people have jumped into the deep end too quickly, they can waddle their way back to a more shallow part of the pool and build up the skills to get into the deeper end. Does that make sense? Like, what's your perspective on that?
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
You know, because I wanted to be Mr. Business. I wanted to run businesses. I wanted to do all that when I was younger, and I admittedly got myself in over my head, you know, in multiple ways, and just, you know, and now as I'm venturing back into that field now, I had to go to the shallow end for a long time. Me and my last company was in 2017 that I got rid of, you know, and it's been 5-6 years of just like, I had to go back to the drawing board, you know what I mean? Because I can't, you know, but also going back to those things and learning from where I dropped the ball and then paying attention now to how other people do things, asking more questions, just kind of storing all that away as we go on.
I like that.
I think
going
that
back to the
sometimes
shallow end metaphor, and that's what that's what I was trying to say, I guess, earlier, which is like the shallow end, I guess, is the fundamentals, right? And it's not just mastering the fundamentals, but it's also, like you said, that self-reflection of learning where you did wrong, what steps you skipped, where your ego or your kind of like greed got in the way last time.
Right.
And also building true self-confidence through action and results. is
Right.
something that I don't think people put enough stock in. And also too, like, you can't always be chasing and you can't be celebrating, but you have to acknowledge your growth as you progress. Otherwise, you'll, feel like me, feel like an imposter all the time.
Well, I think I love that point that you made about self-confidence, and Alex Ramosi talks about this, and I spot on agree with him that like
Love that too.
self-confidence, yeah, self-confidence is just like we tend to think of it as this, oh, I'm going to be confident above my skill set, versus like no, self-confidence should come from just the tens of thousands of times you executed on that thing. It should almost be part of muscle memory to the point where you don't even label it as confidence. Right? Like every time I put a spoon in my mouth, I don't label it as confident. I just label it like I don't even think about it because I'm so unbelievably confident at it because I've been doing it since I was 0 years old. That it's just the raw volume. It's not this spiritual reaching for the next level because I just think that I can. It's the volume underneath it that makes you confident. What are your thoughts on that?
You gotta.
Oh, what'd you say, buddy?
Do you have a pen handy? A pen to write with? Well, just remember this, okay? I heard this the other day and this moved me, all right? Boys are confident, men are certain.
Interesting. Love it.
Because you're certain that you know how to eat food, right?
Right.
You don't have to have confidence about your ability to consume food. Or like, with what you do. You can drive your car. Are you a confident driver? No, you're certain. You get in the car, you've been doing it for how long now?
Right. Love that quote, dude. Phenomenal.
I just think that you got to do hard things. I mean, you have to, self-confidence only goes by exceeding your previously held expectations of yourself. And that's just, which is why utilizing objective goals is extremely valuable because it quantifies it.
Right.
So that when your losses and your wins, because you need to make your wins as undeniable as your losses for growth, I think.
Yeah. Love it, dude. Well, MFG.
Now, how do you integrate your wins before we head off?
So honestly, what I do is I do two things. Three things. I try to celebrate. I'm horrible at it only because, and this is not some sort of humble brag, I love the game so much that I just love playing it. It's almost like you're putting the trophies to the side. Cool, you put them in the case. I literally take a picture of the wins in my iPhone. So every once in a while, I'll just scroll through it. I think that's extremely important for me, at least, and I would imagine for a lot of the guys on the team. Like, take a snapshot of your wins.
So what do you have, like an album in your phone?
Yep.
Of wins? I think I'm going to do that today.
Dude, I'm telling you, like that's probably the biggest thing because it just encapsulates like the visual and I'll pull up a win from a few years ago and you immediately remember it. It's like, oh, I remember what I felt like it's on. The next thing I do is, as weird as it sounds, I drink a small little glass in a Scotch glass, but I drink iced tea. And like I'll like literally sit there. I just actually did it this weekend when we went on vacation. Like I'll sit down, and then I'll take a glass of that iced tea and then I just sip it. For some reason, just like that's like in my head of like that's what a man's supposed to do when he gets his win. Like relax with it. I don't drink alcohol, but it's like the iced tea. And sometimes I'll take a picture of that with like my feet up and the iced tea in the picture. I just did it this week.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's what I would say. How about you?
I'm not good at it. I'm really not. You know what I mean?
Try the album thing.
I'm going to do that today. Because it's funny, I have a few albums that I'll keep like stuff that I'm proud of in. It's kind of like especially my like portfolio basically, like all the different work I've done. And it gets me work, but I need to have more personal wins in there too.
Yep. Dude, it's so simple. And I forget where I got the idea from. But it's so simple because it's just easy. It's easy to do. Right. It's not like, oh, I'm going to take myself out to dinner. I'm going to take a quick snapshot and then you have it upon any moment when you're feeling a little down or you want to motivate yourself for the next thing. You look at like, wow, it's your trophy case, your virtual trophy case that goes with you wherever you want.
It's funny you say that because like every morning when I get up, usually I'll, have a daily routine, but I'll go into the Instagram archive and look at my stories from the past like 3 or 4 years and see. And sometimes I'm like, oh, wow, that's a really cool thing I did. It's a really nice piece that I made. Other times I'll see like, oh wow, thank God I don't do that anymore. If it's drinking or whatever, bad behavior.
Yeah.
So kind of, both sides of it, but I need to celebrate more wins for sure.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, dude, and please, put them up on the Discord, send them to me. Like, I think as men, we need to support each other on trophies, dude. So,
Hell yeah.
as always, buddy, love you. Thanks for coming on, dude. Keep up what you're doing, man, because it's inspiring me.
Hell yeah, man.
All right, brother. Thank you,
Appreciate you. Be
You
well.
guys have an awesome weekend. Later.